Stage 1. The runners. When a person is first infected by Cordyceps, the transformation is almost immediate. Within a single day, sometimes just a few hours, the fungus takes hold of the brain and hijacks the nervous system. What's left behind is a runner. At first glance, they still look human. Their skin is pale, their eyes bloodshot, their body trembling as if they're fighting something deep inside. And in a way they are. The person is still in there screaming, crying, moaning in pain, but the fungus has already won. Runners are fast. They charge at you with terrifying speed, lashing out with wild, unpredictable movements. Unlike later stages, they can still see and hear, which makes sneaking past them much harder. They'll sprint, zigzag, and attack in swarms, overwhelming their prey through sheer numbers. And while they may seem weaker than the more grotesque clickers or bloaters, make no mistake, one runner can be handled, but a pack of them? That's death waiting to happen. In the HBO series, we see them portrayed even more tragically. Their faces are almost fully human, but beneath the skin, the fungus is spreading like veins of rot. They tremble, twitch, and some even try to fight back against their own bodies. But it's too late. Infection takes everything. This stage lasts only a couple of weeks before the body changes into something far worse. But in many ways, runners are the scariest of all, because they're still recognisably human. They're a reminder of what's lost and what's coming next. Stage 2. The Stalkers. After a couple of weeks, the infection begins to push deeper. The fungus spreads across the skull, breaking through the skin, leaving patches of hard fungal plates. And this is where things get unsettling. Stalkers are the halfway point between runners and clickers. They still have eyes, though their vision is starting to fail. They can still hear, though the fungus is already reshaping their skull. Their faces twist with fungal growths that haven't fully blinded them yet. It's a horrifying transformation, like watching a person caught midway between human and monster. But what makes stalkers truly terrifying isn't how they look, it's how they behave. Unlike the screaming frenzy of runners, stalkers hide. They cling to walls, blend into shadows, and wait. You might hear a faint rasp, or the sickening sound of fungus tearing as they shift against a wall, but when you turn to look, nothing's there. Then suddenly, they're on you, sprinting from the dark, shrieking, slashing, with a feral rage. They don't just attack, they hunt. They're patient, they're cruel. In The Last of Us Part 2, Naughty Dog leaned into this horror. Stalkers dart between cover, avoiding gunfire, disappearing into silence before striking again. They blur the line between survival horror and pure nightmare fuel. Visually, they're the most disturbing stage. Veins bulging, fungal growths crawling across the face, patches of skin peeled away, but still enough human features left that you can tell who they were. And that makes them even harder to look at. Where runners are tragic and desperate, stalkers are something far worse, deliberate. A predator shaped by Cordyceps, learning patience. The infection is maturing, the host is slipping away. And when enough time passes, patience is replaced with blindness. That's when stalkers evolve into clickers. Stage 3, the clickers. This is the stage everyone recognises, the most iconic face of The Last of Us. After about a year of infection, the fungus completely consumes the head. It tears the skull apart, bursts through the eye sockets, and leaves the host totally blind. What's left is a twisted shell of a human, with a grotesque crown of a hardened Cordyceps fungus splitting their face in half. Without vision, clickers rely on sound. They let out that unmistakable, bone-chilling, clicking noise, a form of echolocation. With each click, they map their surroundings, hunting prey through echoes in the dark. Step on the wrong glass shard, breathe too loudly, even shift too close, and they'll know exactly where you are. In combat, clickers are nightmares. Unlike runners or stalkers, these creatures don't hesitate. They charge with terrifying precision, and one bite means instant death. They're unnervingly strong too, with the fungus giving their bodies unnatural durability. Their thick fungal armour makes them harder to kill. Bullets barely slow them down unless you land that perfect headshot. And it's not just the danger, it's the horror of what they represent. You can't even see the person they once were anymore. Where runners still looked human and stalkers were somewhere in between, clickers are the point of no return. The person is gone. The fungus has won. In the HBO series, this was brought to life with horrifying accuracy. The movements are jerky and inhuman. The sound design makes their clicks echo like nails on a chalkboard. And the way they lunge at their prey feels more like a predator than a person. Clickers are the perfect embodiment of fear in silence. They force survivors and us as players into tense, breath-holding stealth. You don't fight them if you can help it. You avoid them. Because once a clicker locks onto you, it's already too late. And if years pass beyond this stage, the infection grows even thicker, even stronger, creating something much worse. Stage 4, Variant 1, the Bloaters. After years of infection, sometimes over a decade, the fungus doesn't just take over the brain, it consumes the entire body. And the result is a bloater. These are walking tanks. Their bodies are covered in layers of hardened fungal plating, like natural armour. Bullets barely penetrate it, and even fire doesn't take them down quickly. They're slower than runners or clickers, but they make up for it with raw strength and durability. Bloaters don't just attack with brute force, they also rip chunks of fungus from their bodies and hurl them like spore bombs, showering their victims in a toxic, infectious cloud. In close quarters, they're devastating. A single grab, and they can literally tear a person in half. In the games, bloaters are boss-level encounters. You don't sneak past them easily, you throw everything you've got just to bring one down. In the HBO series, their first appearance was pure nightmare fuel. Bursting from underground, shrugging off gunfire, and ripping through soldiers like paper. If clickers are about tension and silence, bloaters are about sheer terror. They are the unstoppable juggernauts of the infected world. Stage 4, Variant 2, the Shamblers. But the Cordyceps infection doesn't evolve the same way everywhere. In wetter, more humid climates, instead of bloaters, the fungus creates something different, the Shamblers. Where bloaters are armoured, Shamblers are swollen. Their bodies are bloated with acidic fungal growths, oozing with a toxic mix of spores and fluid. In combat, they lumber forward, spraying clouds of acidic gas that burn skin and suffocate lungs. Get too close when one dies, and they erupt in a final, deadly explosion. Shamblers are less armoured than bloaters, but their corrosive abilities make them just as dangerous. They're unpredictable, messy, and horrifying to encounter in tight spaces. Naughty Dog introduced them in The Last of Us Part 2 to show how Cordyceps can adapt to different environments, mutating into whatever best ensures survival and infection. Whether it's the armoured strength of a bloater or the toxic cloud of a Shambler, Stage 4 proves one thing. The longer Cordyceps stays in control, the less human its victims become, and the more unstoppable the infection truly is. Stage 5, the Rat King. This is it, the ultimate nightmare of the Cordyceps infection. A mutation so rare, it's only been seen once in the entire Last of Us universe. The Rat King. The Rat King is not just one infected, it's many. A grotesque fusion of runners, stalkers, and clickers, all merged together over decades of unchecked infection. The fungus doesn't stop with a single host. It grows, it spreads, it binds multiple bodies into one horrific mass. Imagine years of infected piling on top of each other in a dark, sealed-off space, until Cordyceps welds them into a single living organism. That's the Rat King. Visually, it's the most disturbing form of infection ever created. Limbs jut out at impossible angles, skulls and torsos are half buried in fungal mass, faces scream silently from within the growth. Parts of it still move independently, like smaller stalkers trying to break free from the main body. It's not just one monster, it's a colony stitched together by fungus. In combat, the Rat King is absolute chaos. It charges with the brute strength of a bloater, the unpredictability of a stalker, and the savagery of a clicker. entire chunks of infected can rip themselves free mid-battle, creating new threats while the main mass keeps attacking. It's relentless, almost impossible to stop, and every second of the fight feels like you're battling the embodiment of the infection itself. The only known encounter is deep inside a hospital in The Last of Us Part 2. For years, the building was sealed off, trapping multiple infected in the dark with nowhere to go. Over decades, the fungus fused them into something far beyond what anyone thought possible. The Rat King isn't just a monster, it's a warning. It shows what happens if the infection is left to evolve unchecked. Symbolically, the Rat King is the endgame of Cordyceps. It represents the ultimate loss of individuality, the total erasure of humanity. Where runners still scream with pain and clickers still echo human form, the Rat King is pure fungus. Humanity isn't just gone, it's been erased, swallowed up, and replaced by something unrecognisable. The terrifying truth: the Rat King might not be unique. If conditions are right, if infected are trapped together long enough, this mutation could happen again. And if it does, there's no telling how much worse it could get. The Rat King isn't just an infected, it's evolution. And it's a glimpse of the future Cordyceps might still have in store. From the moment a person is bitten, the clock is ticking. First comes the runner, fast, desperate, still clinging to traces of humanity. Then the stalker, lurking in the shadows, half human, half monster. After that, the clicker, blind, armoured in fungus, a predator guided only by sound. Years later, the infection splits in two: bloaters, armoured juggernauts, or shamblers, toxic beasts born from rot and humidity. And finally, in the rarest, most terrifying cases, the Rat King. A living monument to decades of infection, a creature made of many, fused into one. The stages of Cordyceps infection aren't just monsters in a game, they're a roadmap of humanity's downfall. Each stage tells the story of what's lost, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but fungus and fury. And that's the true horror of The Last of Us. Not just the creatures themselves, but the reminder that in this world, anyone, at any time, can become one of them.